If you wake up feeling tense after age 60, even when nothing is wrong, your morning may be silently putting your nervous system on alert, and almost no one ever explains why. It's not always a strong discomfort, and that's exactly why it often goes unnoticed, but there can be a quiet tension in the chest, a slight heaviness in the body, or even a feeling that the mind is already active before the day has truly begun, gently pulling you into thoughts, responsibilities, or concerns without asking permission. And over time this becomes familiar, something you stop questioning, something that blends into your routine, especially when you've spent years taking care of things, managing responsibilities, and moving forward regardless of how your body feels in those first moments of the day. But what most people don't realize is that the way your morning begins has a much deeper influence than it seems, not just on your mood, but on how your entire nervous system behaves for the rest of the day, shaping how calm or reactive you feel, how steady your energy remains, and how easily your body can return to a state of balance. Because after 60, your body becomes more responsive to the signals you give it early in the day, and those first moments after waking are not neutral, they are directional. They either guide your system toward calmness, or quietly reinforce a state of subtle alert that can stay with you longer than you expect. And the important part is this: you don't need complex routines, strict schedules, or anything overwhelming to shift this. What your body responds to now are gentle, consistent signals, small habits that communicate safety, steadiness, and care from the very beginning of your day. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 4 simple morning habits that your body truly needs to feel calmer throughout the day, not as a rigid routine, but as a natural way of starting your morning that aligns with how your body is changing, allowing you to feel more at ease, more present, and less carried by that quiet tension that so often goes unnoticed. Step 2. When you wake up in the morning, your body doesn't simply turn on. It transitions, moving from a state of rest into a state of activity, and this transition is guided by your nervous system, which decides how quickly, how smoothly, and in what direction your body will move into the day. After the age of 60, this transition becomes more sensitive and, in many cases, less stable, not because something is wrong, but because your body is responding differently than it used to, taking in more signals, reacting more subtly, and sometimes holding on to tension instead of releasing it. This is why the first few minutes after you wake up are much more important than they seem, because during this window, your body is highly receptive, almost like it is listening for cues that will define whether it should stay calm and steady, or move into a more alert and reactive state. If your morning begins with sudden stimulation, like immediately checking your phone, rushing to get up, or mentally engaging with responsibilities right away, your system can interpret that as a signal that it needs to stay on guard, even if there is no real urgency. And once that signal is set, it tends to carry through the day, not in an obvious way, but in a subtle background of tension, where your body never fully settles, your breathing remains slightly shallow, and your mind feels gently pulled from one thought to another. On the other hand, when your morning begins with slower, more intentional signals, even very small ones, your nervous system starts to organize itself differently, allowing your body to move into the day with more steadiness, more clarity, and a greater sense of internal calm. What makes this especially important is that this process is not something you have to control forcefully. It responds naturally to what you do, which means that even small adjustments can begin to shift how your entire day unfolds. And this is where morning habits become powerful, not because they are complex, but because they shape this transition in a way that your body can recognize and respond to. And if this perspective is already helping you see your mornings differently, not as something automatic, but as something that can gently guide how you feel throughout the day, subscribing to the channel can be a simple way to continue receiving this kind of calm and practical guidance, always focused on helping you support your body with clarity and ease. Step 3. The first habit begins in a moment that most people overlook, the moment right after you wake up, when your eyes open but your body has not yet moved, because this is one of the most sensitive transitions of your entire day, and how you experience these first minutes can shape how your nervous system organizes itself for hours afterward. Many women are used to getting up almost immediately, either out of habit or out of necessity, but what often goes unnoticed is that this quick shift from lying down to standing up can feel abrupt to the body, especially after 60, when your system benefits more from gradual transitions rather than sudden changes. Instead of moving right away, the habit here is to remain where you are for just a few moments, allowing your body to wake up before asking it to act, not by doing anything complex, but simply by becoming aware of your breathing and your physical sensations. You don't need to control your breath, just notice it, feel whether it is shallow or deep, fast or slow, and allow it to settle naturally, because even this small act of awareness begins to send a signal to your nervous system that there is no urgency, that it can move gently into the day. At the same time, bring your attention to your body, noticing areas that may feel heavier, tighter, or slower, not with judgment, but with curiosity, as if you are checking in rather than correcting, because this kind of attention helps your system shift out of automatic mode and into a more regulated state. What happens here is subtle, but important. Instead of starting your day from a place of immediate action, you begin from a place of presence, and that alone can reduce a surprising amount of background tension that would otherwise carry into your morning. This doesn't need to take long, even 1 or 2 minutes is enough because the goal is not duration but direction, giving your body a chance to transition rather than react. Over time, this simple habit can begin to change how your mornings feel, where getting out of bed becomes smoother, your body feels more cooperative, and your mind less rushed from the very beginning. And what's important is that this creates a foundation for everything that comes next, because when your day begins with calm, it becomes much easier for your system to maintain that calm as you move forward. Step 4. After those first quiet moments of awareness, the next step is not to rush into activity, but to introduce movement in a way that your body can recognize as safe, gradual, and supportive, because how you begin to move in the morning has a direct effect on how your nervous system continues to respond. Many women, out of habit, move quickly into their routine, getting up, walking, starting tasks, often without realizing that this sudden shift can create a subtle sense of internal pressure, especially when the body is still transitioning from rest. Instead, this habit is about allowing your first movements of the day to be slower and more intentional, even if only for a few minutes, giving your body time to adjust without being pushed into activity before it's ready. This can be as simple as stretching your arms gently, rotating your shoulders, moving your neck slowly from side to side, or even sitting on the edge of the bed for a moment before standing up, allowing your body to organize itself in a more stable way. What's happening here is more than just physical movement. These slow, controlled actions send a signal to your nervous system that there is no urgency, that your body is safe, and that it can remain in a calmer state as it transitions into activity. And this is especially important after 60 because your system responds more strongly to how things are done, not just what is done, meaning that the quality of your movement can influence your internal state far more than the intensity of it. Over time, this creates a different pattern, where your mornings feel less abrupt, your body feels more cooperative, and that subtle background tension that often builds early in the day begins to soften. It also reduces the likelihood of carrying unnecessary tightness into your muscles, because instead of starting the day with tension, you begin with release and awareness. And just like the first habit, this does not require time or effort in the traditional sense. It requires attention, a willingness to move with your body instead of ahead of it, allowing your system to follow a rhythm that feels more natural and less forced. And if, as you think about your current mornings, you begin to notice moments where things feel rushed, abrupt, or slightly disconnected from how your body actually feels, it can be very helpful to share that experience. So if you feel comfortable, tell me in the comments what your mornings usually feel like, because recognizing these patterns is often the first step toward changing them in a way that truly works for you. Step 5. As your body begins to wake up through gentle movement, the next habit focuses on something even more subtle, but deeply influential, which is how you use your breathing and your exposure to light in the early moments of your morning. Because after 60, your body becomes more responsive to environmental signals, and two of the most powerful signals it receives every day are light and breath, both of which help regulate your internal rhythm and guide your nervous system toward either calmness or activation. Let's begin with breathing, because even though it happens automatically, the way you breathe in the morning can either reinforce a state of tension or gently guide your body into a more relaxed and stable rhythm. Instead of leaving your breath on autopilot, the habit here is to bring a small amount of attention to it, not to control it forcefully, but to allow it to slow down naturally, perhaps taking slightly deeper breaths through your nose, and letting the exhale become a little longer and softer. This longer exhale is especially important, because it sends a direct signal to your nervous system that it is safe to relax, helping your body shift away from that subtle state of alert that often carries over from the night. At the same time, your exposure to light plays a quiet but powerful role in how your body organizes itself, because natural light helps regulate your internal clock, influencing not only your energy levels, but also how calm or reactive your system feels throughout the day. Whenever possible, allowing yourself to receive soft natural light in the morning, whether by opening a window, stepping outside for a few minutes, or simply sitting near a source of daylight can help your body align itself more smoothly with the day ahead. What's important here is not intensity, but consistency, small, repeated signals that your body begins to recognize as part of a new rhythm, one that supports steadiness instead of fluctuation. Over time, this habit begins to create a noticeable shift, where your mornings feel less rushed internally, your breathing becomes more supportive rather than reactive, and your energy begins to stabilize in a way that feels more natural and less forced. And what makes this especially valuable is that it requires no special tools, no complex routines, just a small shift in attention, allowing your body to use what is already available to guide itself into a calmer state. Step 6. The fourth habit is often the one that makes the biggest difference, not because it requires effort, but because it protects something that is easily disrupted, which is the calm state your body is beginning to build during the first moments of your morning. After you wake up, become aware of your body, move gently, and regulate your breath and light exposure. There is a brief window where your nervous system is more balanced, more receptive, and more stable, and what you do next determines whether that calm is preserved or quickly replaced. Many women, without realizing it, interrupt this state by immediately engaging with the outside world, checking messages, turning on the television, or mentally stepping into responsibilities before their body has fully settled. And while this may seem harmless, it introduces stimulation too early, shifting your system back into alert mode. This habit is about creating a small buffer, a few minutes where you allow your internal state to stabilize before opening that door to external input, not by avoiding your responsibilities, but by choosing the order in which you meet them. This could mean delaying your phone for a few minutes, sitting quietly with a warm drink, or simply allowing yourself to exist in that calm state without immediately filling the space with information, because your nervous system needs time to anchor that sense of balance before being asked to respond. What happens when you do this consistently is subtle but powerful. Instead of starting your day already reacting, you begin from a place of steadiness, where your responses feel more measured, your thoughts less rushed, and your body less tense as you move into your routine. Over time, this creates a protective effect, where external demands no longer override your internal state as easily, because your system has already established a foundation of calm before engaging with the day. And this doesn't require isolation or long periods of silence, it simply requires intention, a conscious decision to let your body lead for a few moments before the world begins to ask things of you. And if this way of approaching your morning feels helpful, if it gives you a sense that your day doesn't have to begin in a state of urgency or tension, taking a moment to like the video is a simple way to support this kind of content, helping it reach other women who may be looking for a calmer and more natural way to start their day. Step 7. Now that you've seen each of these habits individually, what truly makes the difference is how they come together. Not as separate actions you need to remember, but as a natural sequence your body can follow, almost like a quiet rhythm that guides you from sleep into a calmer, more stable day. When you begin your morning by staying still for a few moments, you give your body space to wake up without pressure, and when you follow that with gentle movement, you allow that awareness to extend into your physical state, helping your system transition instead of react. Then, by bringing attention to your breathing and allowing natural light to reach you, you begin to regulate your internal signals, guiding your nervous system toward a more balanced rhythm, where your body feels supported rather than pushed. And finally, by creating that small buffer before engaging with the outside world, you protect everything you've just built, allowing your body to anchor that calm before being asked to respond to external demands. What's important here is that none of these habits are meant to be perfect or rigid. They are meant to be flexible, adaptable, and gentle, something you can follow in your own way at your own pace without feeling like you need to get it right. Because your body doesn't respond to perfection, it responds to consistency, to repeated signals that slowly teach it that mornings are no longer a moment of abrupt transition, but a gradual and supportive process. And as this becomes part of your routine, even in a simple and imperfect way, you may begin to notice changes that go beyond your mornings. Your energy may feel more stable, your reactions less intense, and your overall sense of calm more present throughout the day. What once felt like something you had to manage or push through begins to feel more natural, as if your body is working with you instead of asking you to constantly adjust. And this is where many women realize that calmness is not something you need to chase during the day. It's something you can begin to build from the very first moments of your morning, in a way that feels supportive rather than demanding. In the next step, we're going to bring this into a simple and realistic way you can start applying these habits without pressure, without complexity, but in a way that your body can truly respond to over time. Step 8. Before we bring everything into a simple routine, if this kind of approach feels supportive and aligned with what your body has been needing, subscribing to the channel can be a gentle way to continue receiving this type of calm, practical guidance, always focused on helping you feel more at ease in your daily life without pressure or complexity. Now, when it comes to applying these habits, the most important thing to remember is that you don't need to change your entire morning all at once, because your body responds much better to small, consistent shifts than to big, sudden changes. A simple way to begin is to choose just the first 2 habits, staying still for a moment when you wake up, and then allowing yourself to move gently before fully getting up, and focus only on making these 2 steps feel natural without rushing or forcing anything. Once that begins to feel comfortable, you can gradually include the next elements, perhaps bringing awareness to your breathing while sitting near a window, or giving yourself a few quiet minutes before engaging with your phone or your routine, allowing your body to experience that calm transition more fully. What matters here is not how much you do, but how you do it, because even a short moment of presence, when done consistently, can begin to change how your nervous system responds, creating a different internal pattern over time. You may not notice dramatic changes in the first days, and that's perfectly natural, because what you are building here is not a quick result, but a new rhythm, something that becomes more stable and more noticeable as your body starts to trust these signals. And as that happens, your mornings may begin to feel less rushed, your body more cooperative, and your days more balanced, not because you forced calmness, but because you allowed it to develop from the very beginning. This is not about doing more, it's about doing things differently, in a way that respects how your body works now, giving it what it needs to feel safe, steady, and supported. And over time, these small, gentle habits can become something you no longer think about, but simply feel, in the way your day unfolds with a little more ease, a little more clarity, and a little less tension.